Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about something that touches every single one of us, but in ways we almost never stop to think about: the psychology of money.
You know, this quote from our source material really just hits the nail on the head. We're all taught to treat money like it's a math problem, right? But it's just never that simple, is it?
I mean, we love to think our financial decisions are super logical, all spreadsheets and calculators. But the truth? The truth is, they're driven by these really powerful, hidden emotions we don't even realize are there. Those numbers on the screen, they're just a stand-in for feelings that are way, way deeper.
So first things first on this journey, let's tackle the biggest myth out there: the idea that finance is purely a numbers game.
Okay, so let's break this down. We tell ourselves that we're making these rational choices, right? That it's all based on logic. But what's really happening? Well, our brains are actually reacting emotionally first, with fear or excitement or maybe anxiety, and only after that does our logical mind jump in to build this neat little story that makes our emotional reaction seem totally reasonable. It's kind of like we make the decision with our gut and then write the report to justify it later. So the big question is, where do these powerful emotions even come from? Well, it turns out they're basically hardwired into our brains long before we ever earn a paycheck or open our first bank account.
Think about it. When we're kids, we're basically sponges. We just absorb everything from our environment. We see how our parents talk about money. Was it a source of security in your house, or was it a source of stress and arguments? And we just silently link money to these really intense feelings. And those links, they end up shaping our behavior for decades, most of the time without us even knowing it.
And this leads to a really fascinating paradox in how we act. I mean, if these money scripts are so powerful, what do they actually make us do as adults?
And this is where it gets really interesting. You can have two totally opposite behaviors, like someone who hoards every penny and someone who spends recklessly, and both can come from the exact same emotion: fear. A deep, deep fear of insecurity. On a psychological level, our brain doesn't really know the difference. It treats a financial risk with the same alarm bells it would for physical danger.
And if that wasn't enough, so many of us tie our self-worth directly to our income without even realizing it. When money and your identity get all tangled up, every little financial swing, a raise, a market dip, a big bill, feels intensely personal. It's not just about the money you're losing. It feels like you're losing a piece of yourself. So it's not just about our own internal programming. There's this other huge, incredibly powerful force at play. And honestly, it can be pretty destructive. We need to talk about comparison.
Think about it. We almost never ask ourselves, do I have enough for what I really need? Instead, what do we ask? We ask, how am I doing compared to my neighbor, or my coworker, or that influencer I follow on Instagram? This constant game of social comparison just breeds dissatisfaction, even when, objectively, we have more than enough.
And this leads to something that seems totally backward. You think more money means less worry, right? But so often the anxiety actually goes up as your income rises. So what's going on there?
Well, it's kind of like this three-step pressure cooker. First, your expectations just keep growing. As you climb the ladder, the goalposts are always moving further away. Then your identity gets all wrapped up in your salary. It stops being just a job. It becomes who you are. And that leads to the final step. The fear of falling gets bigger. The higher you climb, the more you have to lose. And that creates this whole new level of fear.
Now, all these external pressures, they get cranked up to 11 by our own internal mindsets. You can think of these mindsets as the operating system for your financial life.
Let's start with a scarcity mindset. Now, this is way more than just being broke. It's this core belief that there's just never enough to go around. And when you believe that, it narrows your focus. It keeps you trapped in this constant cycle of just playing defense.
So when you're stuck in that scarcity mode, every risk feels like a potential disaster. Thinking about spending money to learn a new skill? Nah, that feels like a waste. A new opportunity pops up? It looks more like a threat than a chance. And the craziest part? This mindset can stick with you even after your financial situation gets better, literally blinding you to opportunities for growth that are right there in front of you.
And the opposite of scarcity, well, it's not just having more money. It's a completely different way of thinking. It's having an abundance mindset. This is the core belief that you can create value, that you can adapt, and that you can bounce back from a setback. It's that trust in yourself that, at the end of the day, is what really reduces the fear. Okay, so if we're all basically wired for these emotional traps, what do we do about it? What's the solution? Well, the source material's pretty clear.
The answer isn't some new budgeting app, it's a whole new perspective.
The goal is to get to this place called detached engagement. What does that mean? It means you treat money like the important tool it is, you manage it responsibly, but you don't let it become the judge of your character, your success, or your happiness.
So here's the real takeaway. True financial well-being isn't just about a bigger paycheck. It's built on these internal skills, like really understanding your own programming, being honest with yourself about your fears, and focusing on your own ability to grow. It's all about finding that healthy middle ground between obsessing over every penny and just completely avoiding the topic altogether.
And this might be the single most important mental shift you can make. You are not your salary. Your worth as a human being has absolutely nothing to do with the number on your paycheck or the size of your bank account. Really letting that one idea sink in can be a total game changer for your financial anxiety.
And really, that's the ultimate goal, isn't it? When money stops being the loudest, most demanding voice in your head, you can finally start to hear everything else. You can focus on your relationships, on your purpose, on what actually matters.
So at the end of the day, it all comes down to this one question. What does money represent to you? Is it safety, freedom, status? Figuring out the answer to that question for yourself, that's the first most powerful step you can take to get back in control.